This episode is brought to you by Leibish, the coloured diamond jewellery experts. Did you know that pink diamonds are amongst the rarest diamonds, and over 90% came from the Argyle mine in Australia, which closed in 2020? Hello, welcome to If Jewels Could Talk. I'm Carol Woolton, the voice of Jewellery, and I'm very delighted to have my guest today, Dexter-Jones. Now, in some newspapers, Anne is often described as a New York socialite, but this does her a great disservice. Anne Dexter-Jones is a jewellery designer of note with the strong aesthetic rock and roll vibe. She has this sort of unique, edgy rock and roll aesthetic. She's raised a brood of 5 high-achieving, successful children who've all been inspired by her artistic style in their various fields, which includes 10-time Grammy award-winning and Oscar-winning DJ, record producer, songwriter and composer Mark Ronson, Samantha Ronson and Alexander Dexter-Jones, both acclaimed international DJs, Charlotte Ronson, the fashion designer, and Annabelle Dexter-Jones, the actress and director. You probably know her best from Succession and American Horror Story. She's a philanthropist, she practices Reiki, she's been a muse for 2 of the greatest love songs ever written by her husband Mick Jones of the rock band Foreigner. She runs her own business in New York. She's a writer and journalist who's now embarking on her memoir, which she's writing herself, of course. So I think that's more than a socialite, quite frankly. And thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
And today we're going to have a little sneak of what's going to come out in this memoir, as well as the jewellery. So I wanted to talk first of all, because I've had a little read of the opening chapters, and there is a sort of pivotal moment that your father introduced to the family that really had a major effect on your life. So can you describe that to us? What happened?
Yes, well, my father called us into the breakfast room one day, his 5 children. I'm one of 5 and I'm number 2 in the line. And he said to us, "Children, I have something to tell you. Please sit around the breakfast table." And I was 11 years old at the time. The youngest was 5, my older brother was 14. And we were curious. And he said, "Well, children, you go to very nice little schools and you have very nice little friends. And what you have to look forward to are nice bigger schools and nice bigger friends. I just want you to know if ever any of our life in England is too bourgeois." And we didn't know what bourgeois meant, so we're sort of scratching our heads and agog. And he said, if ever any of my children were to point to anybody saying they're different because of their garb or how their hair was, whether it be for religious reasons or cultural reasons, or if they had a different colour skin and a different customs, he said, I would be mortified. I am not just going to explain it to you. I'm going to show you that they're not different from you. You are different from them. And he said, I'm now going to spin the globe. He was often looking at atlases, and he was highly intellectual, super genius mind. He was a doctor and an eye surgeon. And so he moved to Southport, and that's where I was born.
So he's in Southport with the globe in front of him. And what does he do?
No, by that time we're now moved back to Liverpool. And there were 3 more children have been born. There's 5 of us.
So there's 5 of you. He's in Liverpool in front of this globe. And what does he do?
And he said, I'm now going to spin the globe. Wherever my finger lands, I'm going to head to the South Pacific, because a healthy mind and a healthy body, we're going to follow the sun.
So where did he land on?
So then he said, I'm going to the closest point on the British Commonwealth so I can still educate you well. And he could practice. And it landed on Australia. So a short time later, we're on a boat to Australia, which took 5 weeks in those days. It's not a pity me story, but my mother had been diagnosed by my father with colitis before we left England. So we headed out to Australia, and she became ill on the boat, and because it was a trauma of being so far away, especially in those days. I mean, people didn't phone each other, they wrote airmail letters. And so we got to Australia, and my mother was very ill then, and my father knew the prognosis. So that was 5 weeks after landing in Australia. So he put us on a plane back to England, to Scotland, to our grandfather. And he said he would follow when my mother got better. Well, he knew, very sadly, that my mother's prognosis was very bad. On our plane that we happened to be on, it was the last Comet 4 ever to fly, Qantas Airlines, and we crash landed, and many people died. And my 3 brothers, my sister and I, we all survived. We arrived back in Australia, we found out our mother had passed, and we took a boat then after the plane crash back to England and went to Scotland where my mother was buried. And my father kept spinning the globe because he was now looking for her mother. So I went to 14 schools, 3 different colleges.
Where were the different schools? On different continents?
Different continents. We went back to England, and then we went back out to Australia again and went to different cities there. Sydney and in Perth, and then we went back again to England, and my father was heartbroken, and mother was the love of his life, and he thought he was subconsciously searching for her, and we went off to live in New Zealand. We got on a boat and we went to New Zealand. So we were in each of the times was 2 years, the 2 times. Australia the first time was very short, the second time was 2 years. Back to England. Australia was pretty harsh in those days. And then we went to New Zealand, which was much more British, and we were there 2 years, and then went back to Australia on board P&O Orient Line. They called us the Von Trapps, because there was this widowed doctor with 5 children sort of tootling on behind, and he was very overprotective. I wasn't allowed to date till I was 18.
But how do you think that affected you, having to you're very gregarious, this is why they call you a socialite. Do you think you learnt those skills because you had to get on with people?
Well, you're always the new girl, and yes. Along the way we lived in different cities, so you're always the new girl, and you're going, hello, my name's Anne Dexter. I was shy inside, but there wasn't that opportunity for that to come out, and I was the eldest daughter, and certainly not qualified to be the little mother I became. I could make macaroni cheese. But I chose to see the glass half full, and my father was still my hero. Mm-hmm. I mean, my brothers and sisters, they disagreed with me, but every time we arrived somewhere, it was like leaving England for the first time. That's why I think that influenced my colour, using colour in my jewellery. Mm-hmm. And because I remember pulling into Bermuda, and you see these houses which you've never seen in England, and I'm 11 years old, they're pink and lemon and blue. Shades, and then we went to Curacao, was one of the stops on the boat, and the streets, the shopping streets are lined in mosaic tiles and different stones. So to me, everything was magical.
This had a great cultural influence on you for the rest of your life.
Well, I think a lot of my father's values I imposed upon my children. Mm-hmm. And my mother was a great philanthropist too. But I think the values and the travel and opening your eyes, and I immersed them and opened them up to different religions, even if it wasn't the religion we practiced. So it was all about tolerance and understanding and empathy.
And did you notice on your travels, were you looking at what women wore and how they wore it?
Yes. I mean, I think subconsciously I wasn't sophisticated enough to think why I was thinking. And then when we lived in New Zealand at 17, no, I was about 16 then, I think, by then. And in New Zealand, it was very conservative. And I remember I always was aware of fashion, and I wasn't interested in the norm. And I remember the first piece of clothing I made, it was, mini skirts were in and everything, I pressed, and also it's my father, so he wasn't really aware of daughters' needs. And I remember steaming open and unpicking a kilt I had that we'd bought in Edinburgh, a red tartan kilt, and I bought a pattern, a simple pattern, just a very simple pattern at a haberdashery store, placed it on the fabric, cut it out. The insides were terrible, they're all frayed and everything. And I made this little mini dress with a tie in probably it was synthetic nylon, and a navy tie that went right down to the floor. And I started making my own clothes. And a girlfriend of my father's, who we never approved of anybody except one of my father's, gave me a sewing machine to kind of kiss up to my father. It was one of those with the metal thing on the leg. And I started making my own clothes and things that were different.
Because you were aware you wanted to look different.
Yeah, I was just aware that I didn't... We had uniforms at school. Clothing wasn't a uniform. And I made for my little sister as well, who was about 6 or 7 at the time. And I was drawn to style, and I liked to paint, and I liked to write poetry. And so yes, it was an influence.
This artistic life was growing.
Yes.
And then you went back to London, and the rock and roll started to kick in with your first marriage. Lawrence Ronson was a music producer and band manager.
Well, he was a band manager, but he did that on the quiet because he was within his family corporation, and he wanted to do music, and every time he got a drum kit or a guitar, the mother gave it away to the bin men the following week. He said he wishes he had £100 for every piece of instrument that was given away, because they kind of poo-pooed the music thing, and they didn't take it seriously. So on the quiet, working within the family corporation, and he was in charge of sort of big construction, building sites, home up in Wiltshire. And he had this whole thing going on the side. And he, even without his parents knowing, he had signed a band, Bucks Fizz, who won the Eurovision Song Contest.
I think they were probably the last British winner, probably.
But we had a lot of friends who were musicians. And
like who? Who were your friends at that point? Sort of Mick,
the
Jagger,
Rolling Stones and
David Bowie,
The Who, and Keith Moon and David Bowie. And these people were coming round, as well as shop assistants who I liked. I'd invite them over too, or everybody, not in a bountiful way, don't get me wrong, but just people I liked.
Fun.
I never had an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what made it so fun. My family my in-laws weren't that approving of our lifestyle, probably with good reason. And I was very close to them. And then the situation came up, and it was time for me to get a divorce. And to put it, because I don't want to say anything bad, because this is the father of my 3 children, Mark, and my twins, Charlotte and Samantha. And a while afterwards, during my divorce, I met Mick Jones. But I sent him on his way.
Oh, Mick Jones, a foreigner.
A foreigner. I sent him on his way because when he asked me out, and I said, I have to get custody of my 3 children. They're my jewels, and my most precious jewels. And I said, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it in the podcast, and I said to him, if you want to see me, because I liked him a lot, and I said, you want to be my friend, that's fine. If anybody comes back in the evening, I'm in the middle of a divorce, and it was an intense divorce, which I suppose all divorces are, because my in-laws were not happy, with it's the press and approving, and they, obviously no family wants a divorce in their family. So I said, if you come back to the house at night, it was a Georgian house, and he said all the windows, all the drapes were opened and everything like that. I was so paranoid about because I was in the middle of a divorce from a powerful family. And then I said, if you want to see me for brunch or lunch, or an early dinner, that's fine. But if you're feeling horny, you have to go somewhere else.
So a rock star doesn't often hear that kind of thing.
No.
So a rock star coming round for a polite brunch probably drove him crazy.
Yeah. But he waited. He sent orchids every day, and this went on for months and months.
Orchids every day for how long?
Well, I sent it. He was in not a good marriage, and I sent him back, and I said I wouldn't want somebody messing with my husband, so the karma is I wouldn't mess with somebody else's.
So he kept on sending orchids.
I sent him back, and maybe quite a few months later, it was months later, he sorted out his home situation, and we started dating. And the plan was for me to live in New York. I thought it was healthy to put an ocean between the 2 families, and also I wanted my children. I knew would be influenced just to go into the family business, Mark, and I just thought they should have their own choices.
So you thought going to New York would open up their lives,
and it was close enough for their father to visit them.
And it would open up their lives.
And it would open up their life in a different life, different culture. Different colours. Different jewels.
Yes, and then that's when you started creating jewellery.
Yes, because I was writing then. I was writing actually then. I had like 4-page column with Tatler. And I pretended I was Patsy from AmFab. And so some of it was irreverent, but it was all very proper. And no gossip. No gossip, I don't do gossip. And the only person I laughed at was myself. And so I started writing, freelance writing, and now and again write something for the Times, for the Sunday sections in different magazines. And I loved writing. And then one day I was on tour with Mick in Singapore. And I would go every place we stopped at on the tour, would take the children to, if we could, when they were out of school. And I'd go to the flea market, because you'd get a feeling of the culture of the locals, what they're selling and everything. And from Paris to Singapore to India, wherever you went, I always spotted these ID bracelets. I would see the plain ID bracelets, and I had no interest in ID bracelets. But I think it's a cultural thing, and I noticed in America, people would say, my grandmother gave me this when I was born, and we just added more links to it. Or my boyfriend, my first boyfriend, gave me an ID bracelet, and I thought, well, nobody ever gave me one. And it was no loss to me. But I noticed all these different styles, and in Asia and Europe, and I became fascinated looking at them. Then one day I was standing in Singapore, didn't know anybody there, at the flea market, and I saw these ID bracelets, and I did Reiki on myself, because I happen to be a Reiki master, which is not a diploma from Harvard or Yale, so I don't have any delusions. We can all do Reiki, we can all bring it out in ourselves. It's a form of meditation and healing. So I closed my eyes in the middle of all these strangers, a Reiki trance, and I was imagining the ID bracelet, and I'm thinking, how would I design it? What would I love? And I came up with the idea of my dream bracelet would be lapis lazuli, and in the silver one there'd be gold screws at the top with yellow diamonds. And in the gold one, the gold bracelet, the lapis would have silver screws with white diamonds. And I went, because I wanted to think of something different. I got back to New York and I made some for myself, and few people stopped me and said, where did you get it? Whose is that? Whose is that? And I would go, mine. They go, yes, but whose is it? And I go, but it's mine. And they thought I wasn't sharing the designer. And then I was in Barney's one day, and stores like that, or I'd be in Harrods looking at things, pointing them out, not necessarily buying. And people would say, whose is that? And in the end, Barney's called me in, and now I'm in the stores. And then I was in Harrods.
So they asked you to make more, or a whole line?
They asked to do a line with me, and they said to me, and I'd come up with some other variations and a few other pieces of jewellery. And then they said to me, would I do a selection? And they do consignment. And I said, well, I'm awfully sorry, I'm a one-woman show, and I couldn't possibly afford to do consignment and fill a showcase in and put all the silver and gold and everything. So they changed the rule for me, and they let me, and they bought my jewellery.
And so the idea going on from the ID bracelet was this kind of rock and roll, edgy.
Well,
I mean, heavy links, pavé set, name tags, buckles. I mean, this is
yes.
edgy. It's heavy, let me tell you that.
See, I like the heft. Yeah. My thing is the heft. It's not, you put it on, but I only work with artisans because they're a dying breed and I have so much to learn from them. And I thought it's nice to support them. And they were supporting me too with their wonderful works.
So you found workshops downtown New York?
Yes, Midtown New York in the 40s were all these wonderful artisans. And then I was recommended to some. Some of them were very snooty at first. They'd go, because basically some of them were frustrated jewellery designers. And who the hell was I, this woman who was in her late 30s, early 40s, coming in suddenly as a designer. And but then most important, relating to you, Carol, you're quite right, and I slipped over this fact. When I was designing my jewellery, I would play rock and roll music. I'd go into a little meditative mode with my Reiki, and I would play the radio on whatever FM rock and roll station it was. And then on came Wilson Pickett. I love lyrics. Singing the midnight hour. Wait till the midnight hour. And I went, how amazing. This was the first one I made. And I said, how wonderful. Wilson Pickett is a legend. And he's larger than life. And out of the box. So I made the bracelet. Here it is here.
And it's always midnight.
And my thing was that it's an homage to Wilson Pickett, the midnight hour. It's always on midnight so that you never have to leave the party.
So
you know that horrible feeling and you look at your watch and it's 12:30, it's 1 o'clock, it might be a bit later, it might be the club dancing.
So it never quite reaches the point where you have to be Cinderella and go home?
No Cinderellas. And what I do as well is it has a nice, oh dear, I'm struggling here. It's all handmade and it has a wonderful, this one is silver, but the top
so it's
is
kind of brushed silver, isn't it?
And I brush the silver, so it's not,
really
I like sparkly and shiny, but this, I just thought it's more subtle and more sophisticated. And then the buckle's solid gold, the top is solid gold.
And didn't Kate Moss take that off your wrist?
Oh, Kate Moss took it off my wrist and bought it at, well, I was at a wedding. Mm-hmm. At a wedding, and Kate was going, "Oh, I love that, love that, love that."
She doesn't ever want to go home,
Philip Green from Topshop was at the party when he was escorting Kate, with Kate's group, and he said, "I'll buy it for you. I'll buy it for you." He knocked me down a bit in price.
He's a shopkeeper.
Because he's a shop, he's a shopkeeper. And that's the one that Kate has. Mm-hmm. But her one had diamonds, had pave diamonds on the hand and white diamonds here.
Okay.
There was another one. There's a song came on, Starry, Starry Night. Who I'm trying to remember who sang.
Starry, Starry Night? Don McLean. Yeah.
And I thought it's a wonderful song. And all my clasps are hidden and made part of the piece of jewellery. Mm-hmm. So you don't see any awkward clasps. They're all sort of thought out and part of the jewellery, and they just slip in. And so Starry Night was bought.
And so now your husband, you were the music inspires you, but vice versa, you've been the muse of music. Because didn't he write, "I want to know what love is" for you?
He did. That's a funny one. He came in, I was still living in England. I had to get up early to take Mark and the twins, who were like 5 and 4, to school, and he came bursting into the bedroom because I'd set up a studio next door for him, which was a real cheapo production. I just had styrofoam nailed to the ceiling and the walls so we didn't get complaints from the neighbours. And he came 4 in. He said, "Now you have to marry me. Now you have to marry me." And I said, I'm sleeping. And he said, "I've written the song for you. Now you have to marry me." So I said, "Please." I was a bit grumpy. Have to be up in a few hours. And I closed the door. And then he went into the studio and opened it again. And I said, "What's it called?" And he said, "I want to know what love is." And I said, "You've been asking me for a year to marry you." I'm very sleepy. "And you want to know what love is? Get lost." And I slammed the door. 6 months later, I said yes. And I was only putting it off because it was a little possessive.
So, I mean, that, and then Waiting for a Girl Like You?
No, Waiting for a Girl Like You, he played to me. He came over, a friend of mine, Sandy Norman, was staying with me in London because she was able to, because her parents were away, and she was my dearest friend. And she was having dinner with some friends one night, and one of them was Mick. And I was in the middle of my divorce, and the last thing my life had been high profile with Lawrence, and a lot of music and theatre people, as well as civilians. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of very offhand with him. And he went into the music room and he saw that Lawrence actually had a copy. Lawrence, very interested in music, obviously, and he had perfect pitch, a copy of the Foreigner album. And Mick said to me, "Now I know why I wrote the song." And he put on Waiting for a Girl Like You. Well, And I just looked at him. He said, now I know why I wrote the song. And I said, do you play this in every port? The last thing I need is a rock and roll boyfriend while I am fighting for custody of my 3 children. So I shut that down.
And so, does music still inspire your design?
Yes, always. I love music. It inspires me when the days when things are low. My husband
what do you listen
well
to?
at the moment, and when I'm, I just put on a record player. I love vinyl records. I mean, I put on a record player.
And what are you listening to at the moment?
Chuck Berry. I have to play a lot of Mark Ronson and a lot of Foreigner. And Mick's just written a beautiful song that came out called Shelter from the Storm that he wrote during COVID. And my younger son, Alexander, just finished his album. And he's Alexander Dexter-Jones. He just finished it in Paris. And he's my youngest. And Samantha, my daughter's a song, writes.
Does she?
She had a band and was on the road, but she didn't want to be on the road.
Do you ever play as a family? Do they ever get together and jam?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
We'd
they
like
do.
to release that. We'd like that one.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I also play a lot of, I love the Eagles. I mean, I love the 80s rock, but I'll play new stuff as well.
So does Mark...
And I quite like some of the hip-hop just to move to.
Does Mark wear any of the jewellery?
Yes, Mark, when he did, Mark bought for himself and Bruno Mars.
So you're a tough mother, you make him pay.
They get cost. And when Mark wrote Uptown Funk and he had Bruno sing it on his Mark's album, and they were the surprise musicians at the Super Bowl. And Mark couldn't believe it. I mean, I came here an English schoolboy and here I am at the Super Bowl. So, they were asked, they were not going to they advertised the other artists. It was Beyonce and Chris Martin. And so Mark had engraved on it straight up gate crashing Super Bowl for him and Bruno. But I'd made, for my daughters, for my twins, for Charlotte, I made pink opal inlay. And with rubies on them. And I do different things that pertains to their personalities.
Yeah.
Some like simple.
I mean, given it's got this rock and roll aesthetic, it must appeal to other rock and rollers. Who else wears
Who
pieces?
else? Well, I have a wonderful... Oh, sorry. Well, this necklace without the pearls...
Yeah.
Which makes it more girly. I gave to Ringo Starr for his 60th birthday. And he wears it, and sometimes I open a magazine and there he is wearing my stars.
Wearing his stars.
And Mick Jagger has one of these with cabochon ruby inlay. And Bruno Mars, as I mentioned, has this in gold. And then some of my friends, one friend, Sandy Norman, has an armful of these bracelets.
It's quite heavy.
But when they're actually on, you feel it more when you're greedy and wear 4 like me. But when they're actually on, like an individual single one, you wouldn't feel. And I'm about to do a VIP bracelet because this little raggedy piece of fabric was, my husband was diagnosed with early Parkinson's at the beginning of COVID, so he didn't, and he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last October, and so I went on his behalf, as did some of my children, and I've never taken it because he couldn't be there. I never took this off, and I decided.
So you're
Two people keep asking me, make this into a bracelet.
Good idea. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame bracelet.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And then there are many other people that wear my jewellery, but they like to be private about it.
And for Mick, you have copied his guitar pick, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Here we go.
Here's
In enamel, coloured enamel.
Yeah, the hand enamelled, and this one I actually made up for during the beginning of the Ukraine. I continue to do it. The war in Ukraine. So I do it in the Ukrainian colours with the evil eye, and I give all the money I make on those I send to Ukraine. And this one is just rubies, Pave rubies. This one's a peace sign. This one is jade.
And what does he have?
And this is the key to the soul that I add to them.
And what does Mick wear?
The moon and the stars. Mick wears, I've got one that has crosses on it and music symbols and everything. It's very rock and roll.
Does he wear it every day?
Wears it every day, and he wears this that I made him with white diamonds. He likes silver and white diamonds on the corners.
So you must clank about the house a bit.
Well, clicking.
Both with sort of armfuls of ID bracelets and
what
guitar
I do
picks.
what I do is I only make what I love. I don't follow a trend. I stop myself looking to think what is the new stone this summer or autumn or whatever, because none of us need a piece of jewellery. We don't need another piece of jewellery.
We just want
I think we just want one. So I
have to say,
what I love.
I was a bit like Kate Moss, and one time I saw Anne in New York and she had this on, and I made her take it off and I bought it. And I love it because it's hand enamelled, it's a flower, but it's on this very clever sliding mechanism. So I can wear it up like a choker, down, which I love it. So I was a bit Kate Moss-like and grabbed it off her.
And this is another one of these. Olivia Harrison bought this off me. It was Jerry Hall had a big birthday party up in Windsor last year. Now I've got to try and...
So you're the best advertisement for your jewellery. It's the way you wear it.
I'm
that
a
people
one-woman
want.
show business, so I can't really afford... The way I make the jewellery, it's all custom. I can't really afford one of those PR companies that want a lot of money every week, and they'll probably put them on a fashion show. And I mean, I have friends who are great PR people, but if they go into a fashion show, everybody's looking at the dress or the suit.
Well, this is why they call you a socialite, because you have to go to social events to sell your jewellery, and people buy it off you. What's it like trying to run a global business? What's it like for you now? Has it changed over
I'm not
the years?
a wonderful businesswoman, but I'm not stupid. So I'm not a fool, but during COVID, things were slow. And now a lot of people, I have a lot of private clients that come. And somebody just asked me, I'm staying at that Hotel 22, and somebody just said to me, she's putting on a very exclusive trunk show in Palm Beach in Texas towards the end of the year.
So you'll
and
go to
would I
that?
bring, yes, so I'll do that.
That's probably the best
Like
way to
that.
sell, isn't it?
I got
actually?
tired. I'm in Just One Eye in California,
in LA,
in LA, which is an amazing, amazing destination. And yes, it's amazing.
Yes, because the way to sell has changed over the years,
Yes.
hasn't it? Some of that wholesale business has gone, really, hasn't it? Some of the natural places you would have sold.
Well, if you're going to do also wholesale, people are making in China, India, different countries. I think Portugal's meant to be good, Greece. But what happens is you don't have quality control. And if you're making thousands of each piece, which I don't want to, of course it'd be wonderful to sell them, but not with the materials I use. I mean, I sent some things to Brazil once to be made because my jeweller where I bought the gemstones sent them. And even the silver were all different weights. So what I found out they were doing, they were putting different metals in it. So they had the heft and not the silver or the gold. It was probably lead. So not everybody's like that, of course, but I didn't want to take the chance because my credibility is, because somebody said to me, this bracelet's so much lighter than the first one I had, and I was so embarrassed because it looked like I was trying to cheat her. So that's really embarrassing. So that's why I say I live in America, so I'll make in America. If I'm selling in England, if I have a destination in England to sell, I was in Matches, I was in Harrods, then I'll make them here. You know, I think it's only fair.
And what do you like working with best? What's your favourite gemstone? Is it lapis?
Well, I love, as a stone inlay, I love lapis, and I also love aquamarine.
Yeah. So you like the blues?
Yes, I must like the blues, but I do like emeralds. Okay. And I rather like rubies too.
Is that an engagement ring?
No, that's a signet ring I made from my collection. Yes. And then I've just got a
wedding band.
A wedding band. That was an early Van Cleef. So not mine. But it's exciting, and then some things have... I have a long version of this with the buckle, and it can be a double choker. It can be a hip belt. So I think in this economy you need a 3-for-1.
Very good idea.
And say this is my thumb ring. You could also wear it this way, and then you can bend your finger. You can wear it that way. You can just, there are things you can play with.
Yeah, so it's value for money.
Value for money, and this is my anaconda ring,
I
which
love
you
it.
have.
Yes. I've got the silver version.
Yes.
They're fabulous.
And because they've got a spiritual history to them, the anaconda.
What's that?
You don't want to be... Well, within the customs, within the tribes, they have a special spiritual, it's a goodness and it's the future. But you also don't want them to bite you.
And when do you think your memoir will be published?
Well, I've started 6 chapters, and I'm writing it myself. I have a wonderful agent at UTA in America. Well, they're all global now. And she decided, she read some of my work and said, because at first they suggested a ghostwriter. I'd never written a book before. And she read some of my work and said, you don't need a ghostwriter. So now I have to bloody write it.
Yes, so you've got to sit down and write it.
Yeah.
And Mark's just brought out a book.
Yes, Mark's brought out a book, which is on the Times bestseller.
So you've got to do better than Mark.
Well, I don't know. They're making
There's the incentive.
And the film companies have been it's been a bidding war to make a feature movie of his book. But I don't put myself in that category.
Well, let's wait and see. So how do you like to design? Do you design at home? Do you design on the move?
That's an interesting question, because I don't actually create a collection each season, because I like them to be, you can wear them forever. And sometimes I might change the stones in them. These started off in lapis and black, and then I went on to mother of pearl.
Do you write, do you draw?
I draw them.
Yes.
I draw
and
them.
And then go and work with the artisans with the drawing.
Yes, with the drawing.
And so do you have to be in a particular frame of mind or place to design?
Well, no, I'm a little bit of a control freak on the designs, and a little bit, and picky, that this star has to be exactly, I do smaller ones. I also do more dainty versions of these, because not everybody, they may like the style, but they'd like to, it's like I'll do my double pearl earrings, but I'll also do a single that can balance it. And
but you at home in the
it
house?
Could be anywhere. Could be at home. Could be listening to music. I was at the zoo when I thought of the anaconda, and I went, "What a beautiful shaped head, and what a great ring that would make."
Do you ever run them by Mick? Do you ever say, "Do you like this?" and show him? No. Just do it.
They might not, so I don't want to hear that. No, I just get ideas, and it's just a continuing flow. I mean, some people can give me colours and stones. I'd made this. I remember somebody wanted it. I hadn't made a smiley face, and she wanted this with rose quartz and a smiley face. Or different things, and I'm fine with that, as long as they're happy.
But thank you so much for giving us a little sneak preview of it today.
Thank you.
And bringing your jewellery to show us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was wonderful, and it's such a pleasure.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. For this and other episodes of If Jewels Could Talk, please go to our website, carolwoolton.com. I want to take this opportunity to wish you a very happy 2026 with lots more sparkling stories, so keep listening to the podcast. For more about our sponsors, that's Leibish.com. If you've enjoyed it, please share it any way you can. We love to have a rating and a comment. Join me again for the next Jeweled Nugget, where we'll be visiting the Far East and one of the great designers of our time. So join me then, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye. If Jewels Could Talk with Carol Woolton is produced by Natasha Cowan, music and editing by Tim Thornton, graphics by Scott Bentley, illustration by Jordi Labanda.